Good evening. Uganda's COVID-19 curve is steadily rising. In the last 3 days, the country has recorded its highest daily infections of 31 cases on Tuesday and 28 on Wednesday. The confirmed cases are now 281, with 69 recoveries and 0 deaths. Despite this trend, the country is slowly easing its lockdown, with the private cars now allowed on the road. So what could be the health implications of easing the lockdown? Tonight, we host Dr. Diana Twine, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Health.
Good evening, listeners.
Dr. Diana Twine, thank you very much for having honored our invitation to come here. Like I was saying in the introduction there, you know, 281 cases, and having 31 cases in a single day and 28 cases in a single day, this is the highest jump we have seen of cases. It looks like the situation is getting worse, Dr. Diana.
Of course, we are getting more numbers, and as the epidemic is taking root in the region, we definitely expected this, because our population is the same. We still have the same population in the region. We have business as usual. People are moving from country to country. And because of that, we expect definitely to get more cases, because as long as our people go across and go to our neighbors where the infection is high, we expect definitely to see more numbers increase.
As far as you, the people on the front line are concerned, health workers, when you see these numbers rising the way they have risen in the last couple of days, and yet here we are trying to ease the restrictions, I think now it's going to be very difficult for us and even for you, the health workers.
Of course it is difficult when we get more numbers, and that was the principle on which we discussed and agreed with the leadership of this country to have a lockdown, so that we kind of slow down the infection rate. Of course, the more we get numbers, of course, the more our health workers are stretched. We've been lucky that we have not had very sick patients, but for sure, if we start getting very sick patients, our health workers will be more stretched.
Okay, the president is saying that he's going to follow the science in determining the next course of action. Now, what is the plan, Dr. Diana, of opening up the shopping malls, the arcades, the saloons, the churches, and all these that you're likely to give the president so that he can take a decision? It
is very important that we adhere to the guidelines that we wrote down, and each sector, you know, COVID is a multi-sectoral issue. It's not only health. We have guidelines that guide each section of the community, the shops, what should be done, the shopping malls, what they should do. All those guidelines are in place. It's just a matter of observing them and enforcing them, and ensure that even where there are some areas where we have not really maybe articulated how it should be done, we need to look at that and deal with it. But I think the issue here is enforcement, because now, like today, I was looking at the picture in Chikubo. It is terrible. It is terrible, and if we continue like that, if we don't have any kind of enforcement, we are likely to see a big number of people get infected.
So, but you opened up, they allowed for the opening up of some shops and people to move with their private cars, and people have their businesses in downtown Chikubo. How should they behave in downtown Chikubo? Because, and by the way, downtown Chikubo is like a cosmopolitan of the entire country. People are from Arua, from Fort Porto, from Kapchorwa and Karamoja. We just mingle in just that one small street called Chikubo.
I think we need to discuss the modalities of social distancing in the context of such setup. And this cannot be only health, but trade, KCCA, security. They need really to. We need to come together and see how best
so why
we can
did
do
you
this.
advise the president to open the way they did without giving the advice? And now you're looking at the picture and you're so scared. Yet you are the generals in the health, in the army of health, to be able to give the right, guidelines for us to follow.
The guidelines are there actually.
But then why are you shocked then?
The guidelines are there. It is actually the enforcement. It is also the attitude of our people, because there is a way people think that this COVID is not serious, it's not killing, because they haven't seen bodies all over the place. So they think that, it is something maybe for foreigners, it is very far from us. So there is a way people haven't really.
So just tell me, like you're seeing the picture in downtown, how do people social distance in an area like Kikubo and continue the business, remembering that Kikubo is like the engine of our economy in this CBD?
But remember, when we were going to start lockdown, there was even an agreement that, for example, in some of the markets, some markets would, some people would close, they would create space, they would control the inflow. So there must be some kind of discipline. But I think also we still have the population.
Yeah, but that discipline, Dr. Diana, you are supposed to come out, you as the health officials, with the blueprint for the political leaders to announce and for the enforcement officers to put into practice.
Everything is written down. We have all the guidelines. I think we just need to...
So in downtown they are flouting the guidelines?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Nothing, when you look at that picture, there is nothing like social distancing. There is nothing like even the presidential directive to put on masks. Yes, masks are not, we don't have all the masks that are available, but at least you would see some kind of effort for people to put on the masks what are on the market. But you see people are just not mindful, and it's like really there's just business as usual. So which is really bad, and we hope that after seeing this, we are going to, even today we're talking about it in the Ministry of Health and what we should do. But we can't do this alone.
So now, today with the meeting with the Minister of Health, what is the way forward for a situation like this?
The way forward,
remembering that is our nerve center for Uganda's economy.
Either we close or they abide by the guidelines.
Many are saying that coronavirus most likely is here to stay. How are we really going to be able to live with COVID-19, but also to cut the infection chain in our communities?
We may not completely stop this infection, but we can minimize the impact or the numbers. The reason we focused so much on the border points is to make sure that we minimize the community transmission. And by doing that, it will help us even to comb within the community any possible contacts. That's why, for example, if you look at the statistics of the people who tested, a number of those people we picked from the community are the contacts of the drivers. And we make sure that we follow through, and everyone who came in contact with those drivers is picked and is quarantined. Now, by doing that, we shall minimize community transmission. I want to tell you that by today, we have not really had community transmission. You can imagine how many months we've had all the, around us.
But Dr. Diana, do you say that with a lot of confidence, considering the number of people who have tested? Because one would think that maybe come to Rubaga division, test 2,000 people, go to Nakawa, test 3,000 people, come to Kampala Central, test 4,000 people. And if you do something like that, maybe you can start working confidently that we don't have community transmission.
We did the survey, we did the rapid assessment survey, and we looked at the particular group of people that were prone to infection. especially in the crowded places, the urban, the markets. We tested also the people that were in towns where the highway of the truck drivers. We tested the...
Yeah, you sort of went for the people whom you thought are highly vulnerable, right?
Yes.
Or
yes.
risky population.
So we tested.
My question, Dr. Diana, is don't you need to go out like you go to McKinney division, you know, random test of 2,000 people. Go to Nakawa, random test of 3,000 people. And after that, perhaps you can walk with confidence that maybe you do not have community spread.
That's what we would want to do. And
but why don't you do it?
Our survey is still continuing. But we also have a challenge of getting enough test kits. We have been saying this, and we are going to say it again, that there are very few manufacturers of test kits. And the whole world is campering to secure the test kits from these factories.
So we do not know whether we have community spread because we have not tested enough.
Not really.
But you have a challenge of having test kits.
We have the challenge, and we hope that with time the manufacturers will be able to step up the production. But what we did in the survey is able to tell us that we did not have community transmission, but we had sporadic cases. Remember,
so in the survey, Dr. Diana,
yes.
Does the sample size matter? Doesn't it matter?
Of course, it does.
Yeah, but the sample size is so small, Dr. Diana.
We have tested over 24,000 so far, and we are going to continue to increase the number. And I do believe that when we do targeted sampling, it will still give us the picture of what is in the country. So for now, we've not registered any single community transmission case for now.
But you know how corona behaves, that a corona case in Kotido, within that day can turn into a corona case in Kisoro.
Of course.
So the issue of a targeted population of what you think is vulnerable may not apply at all, because corona anywhere is corona everywhere.
It is true, but for now, we have not registered any community transmission. The 4 cases that we got from the community, were able to trace them back to the source where they got this infection. But even after that, even the contacts that we got, the contacts that tested positive, we also anticipated that they would test positive, because depending on the risk they had. But having said that, I think what we need to do really as a country, there's no way we can stop the trade, we can stop people coming and opening the shops. But what we want to do is continue talking about these risks, about this disease, because people think that it's very far, it is something. You know, last night I got news of one of our colleagues who are working with, she's a Sudanese lady, and she was working here in Uganda, and she had just traveled. And she's a young lady. She was in Sudan. She got COVID. She was young, like my age. She got COVID and she died. She died yesterday. So people don't know that you can't predict. People think it is flu. If all of us become sensitive about it and become really, really cautious, it will help. But there is a way people have relaxed. People have gone back to living like as if there is nothing. And that is worrying us, because we are not going to be everywhere to police every individual. It's not possible.
Okay, talking about the corona itself, without really undermining the severity of the disease, do we in Uganda have a different strain of corona as compared to the Northern Hemisphere? Because for us to be able to have many people recover is a pleasant surprise. But what explains it?
Well, because we have not had the big numbers, so we can't tell. But also the numbers that we got, we were able to concentrate and take care of them. What is happening in some of those places, where you can even be tested, and you are told, you go home. It's only when you are very, very sick that you come to the hospital. And that one is a danger in itself, because some people even will die of stress and anxiety. So the numbers also matter. And it gave us opportunity for our health workers to concentrate and take care of our people. But also we picked these people early in the cycle of the disease, and we treated the symptoms early. Maybe that also contributed. But also it's possible that also the strain, because UVRI is already working on that, but we are getting other strains of the virus, but that still doesn't mean that it doesn't kill.
So when you say we're getting other strains of the virus,
yes,
are they typically Ugandan strain, or maybe they have also seen them somewhere else?
Of course, we most likely also they are in some other countries. I don't have the statistics, but I know that it cannot be only Ugandan strain. It could be in the region, it could be in the continent, but for sure the strains keep on changing because the virus keeps on mutating. And also we think that Uganda has a young population, that we may not get high number of deaths. But the fact that we still have a big population with comorbid conditions, diabetes, HIV, hypertension, heart disease, cancer, we still have that big number. We do believe that still that could be a big confounding factor still for the death. So we keep our hands closed, hoping that really we will not see that escalation of numbers of deaths.
So, you know, talking about numbers, Uganda has been revising the numbers downwards, and I'm told that is not going well with the other organization working with, like WHO, which I think is questioning that strategy. But what do you intend to achieve when you revise the numbers downwards? And doesn't it go against the Ugandan way of the openness that we are always known for?
But Uganda is always open, and we are blessed by that. We are very open, we are very receptive. Everyone feels at home in Uganda. We are testing. There are some countries that are not testing as we had agreed, but we are testing everyone who goes out and who comes in the country. But the issue was that we're getting numbers that were not reflecting the actual numbers of the people that we had. So we had to revise, because
could you repeat that, Dr. Diana?
What happened, we would test, and the majority of these were foreigners. And by the time they would get the results, they would just come, leave their goods here, and then drive back to their countries. And so it was hard for us to keep on counting on numbers, and we don't have the people. So we had to revise and keep the numbers of the people that we have in the country. That's
but
the reason.
I thought the earlier approach was that if you test positive, then you are put into a hospital.
Because
you are isolated.
Most of these people would get tested at the border, come in the country, drop their goods, and go back. By the time we get the results, because the results would come out after 24 hours, and when these people have gone back, and then you have the results, you talk to the driver, and the driver tells you, no, I'm back in my country.
But there is also the actual process of you Uganda forcing those people who have tested positive to return to their country.
No, it is only recent. We are not even forcing, really. No, that's not true.
So
actually, to the contrary, the majority of the drivers, I remember in Mutukula, when even after the president directed that people should stay, some people who are from across, they insisted. They said, please, when we go the other side, we may not get, please allow us to be treated in your hospitals. We had to take the whole entire team of foreigners to Masaka Hospital. And some of them, even they were
So are you saying for those who have gone back to their countries, it was out of their own choice?
It was out of their choice.
There's no mandatory repatriation of COVID cases back in their own countries?
No, we're not doing that. And actually, those who would choose, who would request us and say, please allow us to be treated here, who would take them up and take care of them. But we have treated many foreign truck drivers, as you know. So it's not really something that we are talking abstract. No, we have figures.
Let's use, for example, the census analogy. Because they say when the census night finds you here and people are counting, then you are Ugandan. If the census, if the testing of a COVID case has been done in Uganda, then that's a Ugandan case.
It is.
I thought that's how it should be. I think that's how it is even in other countries.
It is a Ugandan case.
Yes.
But in this case.
And then how do you deduct the numbers?
We deducted the numbers of those people that had gone back.
But is that what is being done in other countries, Dr. Diana? Is that the modus operandi?
Yes, in some countries, yes, they do that. They exchange, because some people would prefer to be treated in their home country. And so to hold them against their will also, it's also not right. They have the right to choose where they are supposed to be treated. Yes, if they chose to go,
that will be understandable. But also in terms of controlling a pandemic, you may not allow because you're trying to control a pandemic. If somebody is sick in Bundubujo and you want to bring them to Karamoja, you may say, for the purpose of containing the disease, we have to stop you where you are. Because it is risky to make them go. Because wherever they are passing, the possibility of transmission is there.
It is true. It is very true.
Yeah, so you don't have to risk the population where they are passing. You have to contain the problem where it is and manage it from there. I thought those are the SOPs.
It is true. That's how it is supposed to be, and that's what it is. That time, people would come and take the sample. By the time results came, they would be back in their countries, the majority. And actually, if you look at the statistics, the majority of those got their results when they were already in their country. And we notified their home countries, and they were picked and treated. But right now, as I talk, I think that scenario now is not going to arise anymore, because when people come at the border, for example, in the case for Elegu, because we test everyone who is going out and the one who is coming in, because that's how that's how we're directed. And we test, and these people move. But no, they don't move. They wait until they get the results. It was actually like in 2 days' time when the numbers were so many, and the number was very big. And the crowd,
the people you're supposed to test,
were worried of the crowding, so we had to move some to a place, a designated place in the country, and we held them there until they got their results. So we do not have now anyone coming in the country and moving freely without getting their results.
Okay.
So that helps us.
Talking about Elegu, Dr. Diana, because the information we were getting that the equipment for testing in Elegu either sort of got a problem or was faulty, and for some time you were not testing because of that challenge.
That is not true. Actually, to the contrary, what is happening now, we are setting up the machines in Adjumani so that, because these machines, they need an environment that you minimize contamination. For example, you can't do it outside. It's not like this rapid that you set up and here and you come and do the test. No, you need to create a certain environment to ensure the safety of the people there. So we have to set up a full lab, and we are doing that in Elegu. At the moment, all the tests are brought, all the samples are brought to Kampala to CPHL.
So actually, there's no testing that is going on at the border entry of Elegu?
No, not yet. We are setting up the machines, and we believe that by end of the weekend, by Sunday, we'll be able to test now, because they have to set up, they have to test the machine, they have to calibrate, they have to run to do the first runs to test. So all that, we think that in these next 2 days will be done.
And yet you're saying that, and yet you're saying whoever is driving in will be tested and will get their results, at the border before they come in.
Absolutely.
And yet for Elegu, the samples have to be taken to Entebbe.
To CPHL in Butabika, but I think that is going to be by next week. It will not be the case.
So in other words, people are spending like 2 days at Elegu border.
Yes, of course, because alone to travel all the way to Kampala, that is one whole day, and then the following day tests are done and then they are sent.
So now it appears, because the new numbers coming in, most of them seem to be coming now from our northern frontier with the Republic of South Sudan.
Yes.
So which means South Sudan, or that border post, is becoming the new hot spot.
Yes.
And yet we have 1 million or more South Sudanese nationals or refugees in our country. When you have such a big number, you cannot avoid people to move back and forth. Maybe to go and check on their business, their community, or even to visit their relatives. And the border is so porous. So it appears on the northern side, we are really cooked.
It is a big challenge, and I hope that the relevant agencies look at it that for now, while we still have this battle to fight, we cease the movement. But we still see a huge number of refugees crossing through the porous borders and coming to all those border districts. And that is a big challenge for us. So that one, we hope that the relevant ministries like Office of the Prime Minister, the security, will work together to make sure that really they streamline the movement of the persons across the border in those districts. Otherwise, whatever we are doing will be lost in that
that's
movement.
A very long stretch of the border we have with South Sudan.
Yes.
From Kidepo, the other side of the Karamoja, and going up to Ubongi in the West Nile.
Yes.
It's a porous border, and I'm sure people are crossing, and you cannot humanly do anything to man the border man to man. So probably there now you're leaving it to acts of divine intervention. Is there anything you can do?
Of course, we are discussing how this can be done. You know, as I mentioned earlier, Uganda is always a welcoming country. We welcome everyone who comes in the country, but we think really at this time of COVID, we need really to put a halt and clearly communicate that this is not right now. South Sudan is stable. There's no war, so we don't anticipate that. People should be now, struggling to enter the country because of seeking refugee. We believe that this time around, people can stay wherever they are. If you are a refugee in Uganda, stay in Uganda. If you are the other side, stay there until we are out of this situation.
I think, Dr. Diana, you have to appreciate the fact that if you have 1 million refugees on your borderline in the north of your country, you cannot avoid to have a back and forth movement of these 1 million refugees from their country to their host, from their home country to their host communities. That is bound to happen.
But this is a war. This is a war. It's not about, comfort, going to visit, No, it is a war. Therefore, wherever people are must stay. That's why the president said, please, stay wherever you are. If you are out there, stay there. If you are here, stay. Until there is a special mechanism to warrant you to come. But really, if you are a refugee and in your country, there is no war, why still continue coming to Uganda? Because really, I can't understand. And really, we need to put down our foot. And we say, we are in war. Stay where you are. Why are you coming? Why are you coming? If you're in Uganda, stay in Uganda. Don't move. And let me tell you, no matter what we do, if we don't really stop that business of movement, and we really strictly enforce, then right now in those districts, we are having many people quarantined, and at the expense of Ugandan money, taxpayers' money. We are paying, feeding all these people who just flock in, who are not our citizens, but just come in the name of refugees, and they're all filling all these districts, the quarantine. Yes. So we need really to be, because even if we try so hard, even if we try and work hard and test everyone and make sure we search for all the possible people who are sick in the country, if we do not become really, really clearly state and say, please, first wait. There is a danger. First wait, and we shall stay here, you stay there until we sort this mess.
Dr. Diana, hold on to your point because we're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara, and my guest tonight is Dr. Diana Atwine, who is the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Health, and we're looking into the fight against COVID-19 that is a pandemic afflicting the entire globe. Why are we testing more of truck drivers than Ugandans internally? I'm asking this because in Kenya, it appears they are doing mass testing in Nairobi. Why don't we do the same in Kampala? I want to repeat this because I talked about it earlier.
We are guided by epidemiological trend. In the country, we know that we did not have infection that warranted mass testing. And we needed to make sure that we test everyone. Remember from the beginning, when we recorded the first person, it was the travelers from outside, from the airport. Then the people we quarantined, also they tested positive. And then also we started testing people coming through the borders. And because other movements were stopped, except the cargo, we realized that because our neighbors also had the infection, we anticipated and we started testing. And exactly what we anticipated was that. So that's what actually determined our focus, where to put our focus. Even when we did the survey in the country, and even we continue doing the survey, we see the biggest threat is the borders. And we are testing, we have 53 border points that are gazetted, but we know the biggest ones are about 8. And that's where the majority of the people pass. And so we are focusing on that. And by the way, by doing that, we have contained, or we have kept our curve low, although the numbers are increasing as it is now. But I can assure you, when you look around the neighbors around us, the numbers are
I've heard
very,
of
very
a
high.
situation where Ugandan drivers who have been tested and they are negative and have crossed to some of the neighboring countries and they are there for a day or two and they come back positive. What does that tell you about the neighborhood,
of course,
where we are?
Of course, it tells us that the infection is real, and it is there, and it is people can easily get infected, meaning really that in the community the infection is there. That's what it is.
So when you're dealing with the East African community, and I'm sure the leaders are meeting and youth health officials are also meeting, do we have scary community spread, for example, in South Sudan?
Oh yes, yes. Looking at the numbers now that we are getting, definitely we have, and yesterday alone they recorded 151, and this is just from one lab that it is WHO testing in South Sudan. Just one day, and I think they didn't even test a big number, but they got 151. So it means that the number.
Can you also confirm to us that for some time South Sudanese samples were being tested in Kampala?
Yes, of course. At one time, there are some that were coming before they established the lab. But I'm glad now that they have a lab established, and I'm happy to note that Ugandans are there managing that lab, and I do believe that they are building capacity with time, and they'll.
So you're no longer testing South Sudanese cases in Entebbe?
No. But of course we test everyone who tries to come in our country.
Yeah, but initially samples would be flown from Juba to Kampala for testing.
Yes. But right now they have built the capacity, and I do believe that with time they'll also maybe expand just beyond one lab, and as I hope that they'll be able to do that.
You have kept on increasing your budget to fight COVID. Now about 400 billion. Now you want close to $1 trillion. You have received funding from donors. Where are you putting all this money?
We are putting this money to buying test kits. I must say that even the money now in test kits alone, the one we've already in order in the pipeline, it is more than $20 million, because those test kits, in a day, if you look at the numbers we are testing, we should be using over $100,000 per day. So if you look at, if you are talking about mass testing now, that would be, you'll be using like $800,000 per day. So if you say COVID is here for 1 year, how much money will we have spent? A lot of money. So testing kits are very expensive. Secondly, even the PPEs, those PPEs, because they are consumables, they use them, we have to keep on replenishing. All those things are very expensive. We are buying equipment for the hospitals, for ICU, all our regional referral hospitals except 2, where now they are almost full to capacity.
Yeah, but Dr. Twine, we have about, maybe I'm told, about 100 ICU units in Uganda.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's still...
No, we don't have 100 ICU units. We have about 150 beds.
Yes, in the ICU units.
Yes. We are keeping those areas.
You can't keep buying things where you probably even have nowhere to put them. For 150 beds, really, for a population of 40 million, that is almost 1 bed for every 1 million people.
Kamara, the number is still low. In other countries, if you have seen what they have gone through with COVID, it is scary. We don't want to get there. We want to have at least every regional referral hospital
to have ICU beds. Those regional referral hospitals and the ICU beds that we have,
yes.
God forbid if COVID-19 hits us hard, like it has hit Italy and the United States. Dr. Diana, won't you be placed in a very difficult position as a medical officer to be able to choose who will die and who will live?
That one happens everywhere where they have high disease burden, regardless of who has resources. Because otherwise, if it was not so, a country like US that has a lot of money, they would not be doing that. But whenever you have high disease burden, that kind of scenario happens. And we hope that we don't get there. That's why we want to work so hard to keep this infection out of Uganda. Yes, people will come in, will not stop people from coming in, but we try as much as possible to make sure that everybody who comes in the country is tested. The only challenge is that we need to work hard, as earlier as I had mentioned, to make sure that those informal movements that the people keep on crisscrossing through the border are stopped. And once we do that, I can assure you that we'll be able to deal with the infection.
So when there's a high disease burden and you don't have enough equipment to deal with it, what is the rationale to choose who lives and who dies?
Of course, first of all, I know that our population dynamics is a bit different from, for example, in Europe, where the big number was elderly. They had the elderly population compared to Ugandan population, which is young population. That is a good thing for COVID, because we know that we may not lose as many people as maybe some of these countries have done. But we know also that when you get a very sick patient, you have to look at other risk factors that this person has. The age, If someone is obese, that is a big risk factor. So the Ugandans, let's lose weight. Let's really lose weight before COVID comes.
The Ugandans already have their issues that is making them lose weight. You can't tell them that because they've already pushed against the wall. They don't know even how to add the weight because the circumstances are making them lose weight, Dr. Diana. That's the reality.
So let's lose weight. Let's check high blood pressure. Let's make sure that we treat diabetes or go for checkup and we know really that we don't have those conditions. For HIV, make sure that everyone who is HIV is on treatment. You boost your immunity. Let's boost our nutritional status. When this infection comes, you'll find that you'll be able to fight back. And really, that's the mainstay of care of this COVID.
I just want to know about the people who have, the drivers who have gone back to their country after testing positive here. Do you know whether Kenya or Tanzania or South Sudan has added these positive cases to their numbers? Because the fight against the disease is a global and a regional effort in our case.
They have done that. What I'm not sure. But I think even Tanzania, they except that we have not heard from them what is the number. But for sure in Kenya, they did. And in Burundi and in Rwanda.
We understand that the Uganda Virus Research Institute, UVRI, is trying out some kind of plasma treatment trials. I wonder how far on that front have they gone?
It is actually not Uganda Virus Research Institute. It is, we've been discussing it with the scientists to try it. They are developing a protocol, and we want to work with Uganda Blood Transfusion Services to ensure that we profile all these people we discharge, and at one time, once the protocol goes through the approvals, we'll be able to get some of these people who recovered, and we take their blood and separate the plasma, because their plasma has a high concentration of antibodies, and in some countries it has actually shown that it is very, very helpful for the very sick people. So putting it in simpler terms, that those who have survived yes.
COVID-19 can actually provide some kind of a cure.
Absolutely.
Those who are sick.
Yes, yes. No, not a cure, but they help the body
to boost the immunity.
To fight back and maybe can also overcome the infection.
We also understand that Uganda is using hydroxychloroquine to treat some patients, but WHO is actually saying this drug is dangerous and they have not seen the benefits of helping, but actually they have seen the dangers of associating patients with hydroxychloroquine.
You know, it depends on where you are. First of all, COVID is a new disease. A lot of information is still unknown. We are still doing a lot of research. A lot of research is being done in all countries that have reported these cases. And some countries opted to use hydroxychloroquine, and since some clinicians will tell you clearly that when they use that hydroxychloroquine, it helped to improve the patients. For example, in Kenya and Uganda, all patients that received hydroxychloroquine, they improved. Then one group that did not receive, and that's why they recorded more deaths. But this is a small numbers, and we cannot. And the fact that, you know, in science, if you are going to attribute the cause or the cause-effect analysis, you'll have to look at the process. How did you randomize? How did you pick the people you chose to give? If you have not done a proper randomized clinical trial and you follow these people and have bigger numbers, then everyone will start punching holes in your statistics. That's why for us we are saying some patients definitely will continue getting hydroxychloroquine, while others will not. But still, right now, we are not just in an island. We are working with other.
But you are aware. You are aware the stand of WHO on the drug called hydroxychloroquine, and that they have tested and they have found zero effect in helping. That's their science telling them. Rather, they have found that it has a negative effect on the heart, on the kidney, and the other organs of the body. But that's what I've read in some journals.
Of course, some people also were commenting. The people who published that article were doing review charts and also looking at generally the outcome of the people who took this medicine. But they did not do randomized clinical trial. Therefore, we cannot say that article is, it's like final, because we have not really done proper clinical trial that we can follow through people. Because for us, our people, for example, in Entebbe, everybody there received hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine in Uganda is not a new drug. We have been using this drug
for treating malaria.
For treating arthritis, for treating SLEs. These are autoimmune diseases. So this drug regulates the inflammation. So it's not really something very new that everyone is worried about. This drug, we have used it. I have prescribed this drug to my patients when I was still active, and I don't remember having seen serious side effects on these people. So, but also we just need to base our argument based on science. For us, we used it. We did not see anyone who got. But of course, also in some hospitals, they are not using it. So we want to get as much information. We analyze, and then we make the decision.
Is it common in pandemics or in new diseases to repurpose an existing drug to treat something seemingly very new?
Of course, it depends. Of course, sometimes depending on the condition. Now, this pandemic did not even give us opportunity to study the available option. They were really, trying, can this one help, based on the actions of these medicines. So they try this, they follow up, and they see how there are some drugs that we use here to treat HIV, and they have found that it helps for very sick, severe people. It helps. It reduces on the viral load. It helps to minimize the reaction. But you see, that is not enough. It is not enough because I think the statistics are limited. So we have to do research. So we cannot completely say we have now got the cure or we have not got the cure. This research will evolve until we get to know, based on the statistics globally, and we shall do meta-analysis. We shall do randomized clinical trials with big numbers, and maybe.
Are we, as Uganda, doing our own trials to look for a cure or to look for a vaccine?
Of course, our scientists are working. We have got our scientific advisory committee that we are working with, but also with other scientists out there. Uganda Virus Research Institute has been there. They have got experience in vaccine trials. And they are working with the other scientists abroad to see whether we can really work together to develop the vaccine. But vaccine development is not something that we will talk about, that within 1 month or 5 months you'll have the vaccine. No. The vaccine you will develop, you will have to do phase 1 clinical trial, where you are testing the safety. First, safety, is it safe? Then you finish, then you go to the second phase where you get more numbers, slightly more numbers. Then if it is safe and you're also studying the immunologic response, then you go to phase 3. It is not something that that's why in UK, even now, they are talking about 2 years to come to get a vaccine, which they are even testing on people now. So it is a long process. But we are working with our scientists. We hope that it will be, one day we shall have a breakthrough. Many
Ugandans are stuck abroad, and is it safe for them to be returned? And among them you have, one of the top Ugandan scientists, I think Professor Francis Omaswa, who could also be coming here. If this was an army, he would be a general like you in the fight. What is the preparation from the government side to have those Ugandans returned? And some of them actually were sending an SOS message to Uganda, save our soul message. It is true. This has been discussed even at cabinet level. Already the embassies abroad have already profiled people who want to come. And I think Minister of Foreign Affairs has already finalized the batches in which they are going to be coming in batches, because we cannot take up everyone at a go. They'll be coming according to the available flights that they can get that would be able to bring them in. And then, of course, when they come, on our side, we are ready to test everyone and quarantine them institutionally. And when they are safe, they'll be able to return to their families. But we are working together with the Minister of Foreign Affairs to make sure that we prepare each batch that is coming, and we prepare for their quarantine places and testing. But yes, I hope this will be also a smooth exercise. If they have the capacity to come on their own, and we have millions of people, we have almost 200,000 people in the Middle East alone and other places. If they have the capacity to come on their own, will you have the capacity to quarantine them? We anticipate that a number of those people will pay for their quarantine, because it is very expensive. The country cannot afford. That's why Minister of Foreign Affairs is also talking to them, and we go to the hotels. Even if they had the money, you could even fail to have where to quarantine them. No. The hotels are there. The hotels are there, and we have actually negotiated. We have negotiated with those hotels. Yeah, but we have millions of Ugandans, and some of them not even feeling safe. Tens of thousands in the Middle East, and if they just came, those hotels will just run out of space. No, we shall work out a mechanism. We have been quarantining. We've been quarantining in thousands of people. We are quarantining every day, the whole country. So it's not that's what you're talking about is not, and they cannot come at a go. They will be coming in phases, because that's why we want them to come in phases. Okay. Yes. Maybe coming in same phases, that would help. But yes. Now, return to some form of normalcy is dependent on the availability of masks for all Ugandans aged 6 and above. Will government really pull this off, given the timeline seems to be very tight, the 4th of June, which is just like 6 days from now? There's no more, distribution of masks at all. You have 6 days to go. Yes, it is true. We are working on this to make sure that every Ugandan has a mask. We have secured funds. The process of procurement has started. But you see, for me as accounting officer, I cannot just jump out and say, hey, now you come and bring. I must follow the processes. Otherwise, then I'll be laughed at when I go to park. So I must do things right in the context of emergency. Okay. But we are procuring. I think now the devil is in the detail, because government of Uganda does not have a good precedent in the distribution of items to the public. It has taken you more than 2 months to cover Kampala and Wakiso in distributing food. Actually, even as of today, the people of Rubaga were still receiving food in the areas of Masanafu. If you cannot give food to the people from the center of Kampala, 5 kilometers, and it's taken 2 months, these masks that are supposed to cover almost 40 million people from border to border, for heaven's sake, 6 days before the timeline, you have not even started to give a single person a mask. Is this a tactic just to delay? No. Please, this is just a tactic. You'll come tomorrow, next week. The president addresses the nation. Let me say this, because it appears this is what's going to happen. The president will come next week to address the nation, and he said, now I'm giving you 2 more weeks for the distribution. Is that the tactic?
It is not tactic.
Yeah, but
it is
because it is practically impossible for you to distribute masks in 60 days to the entire country.
No, it can't be. We will not be able to distribute masks
so they will
it's
go
not,
without masks.
It's not possible.
So people will go without masks.
But even now, people, I know corporate world, that they want to buy masks for their own people.
Yeah, we're talking about public transport. Public transport, the minibuses and the buses, like you've said, because you're saying each one should be having a mask to get into a bus. And for that to happen, government must have distributed masks to them. And yet government has not even started 6 days to the end of the timeline. So what I read is a tactical response for the delay.
That is not
And the chief
true.
executive will come next week and say, you know what, 2 weeks to distribute.
No, it is not true that it is tactics. Why do you always think that it is tactics? No, we are genuine. We actually genuine.
Are you?
Because we were told to buy masks. Of course, government had to mobilize resources. We had to get people to assess which companies can do this work, to come up with specifications. All these things are new. We are not downloading in the textbook.
It is
the
job of the task force to understand the gravity of the problem, to look at the capacity of the country, to look at the industries we have, how you're going to repurpose them. So when you talk about 14 days, then you have assessed, you have analyzed, and then you say in 14 days we shall have covered the entire country.
It is
because
true.
Some of us, when we had this, we thought this is a joke.
It in anticipation of opening up. Of course, this was discussed. And they said, okay, let's try. Within 1 week, let all these people come together, come up with the specification, get all the supplier. Then in the next week, then as we make, we distribute. As they make, we distribute. Once we get these masks, we are going to deliver them directly to the districts. The districts, they have a task force. They have, in each sub-county, they have the government structure. We have sub-county chief, we have LC3. So each one then will come and pick
Dr. Diana,
for their own people.
The UPDF, an institution I have a lot of respect for, has bigger capacity, has more agility to do things. Food was being distributed by the military. With its precision and its men and its training, it has struggled. You're going to involve civilians at the district and the sub-county. I don't know what it can turn out to be. But you don't have to respond to that now because you're going to take a break. So that when we come back, I'll open the line so that you too, wherever you are, can see the numbers on our screen. You can call us and tell us what you think in the fight against COVID. We'll be right back. Welcome back tonight. Welcome back on the spot. Oh my God, I do many things sometimes. I was about to mix them. Welcome back on the spot. My name is Patrick Amara, and my guest is Dr. Diana Twini, who is the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Health, and we're discussing the effects of COVID-19 and how to fight the pandemic. I understand when the masks come and public transport resumes, everybody will be required to put on a mask and maybe do social distancing in the vehicle. But I wonder how the police is going to ensure that this is enforced. Will they be stopping every bus and every taxi at every stage to see whether you've put on a mask and whether that mask is the right specification? How do you do that? No, but then why are you even laughing about this? This is a serious question.
I'm imagining
yes.
A police officer coming in a taxi and say, first open your mask, let me check. That's not possible, definitely.
You mean I'm asking you a funny question?
It's not possible.
Yeah.
But what we have come up with standards, the standards, yeah? The mask, maybe let me remove mine, if you don't mind. This mask, it is a 2-layer.
Yes.
You can see, it is a 2-layer mask. Inside this mask, there is there is a filter.
Okay.
There's something inside
Okay.
that form a hypostatic layer. Now, we have given the standards, and these standards, anyone who gets these standards can make, even in the private sector.
Yes, but you see what you have just demonstrated, Dr. Diana, is that for me to know it's a genuine mask, somehow you have to remove it. Somehow somebody has got to know. So otherwise, if I don't remove, I may pick any other. And you know, the whole effort of 35 billion to buy a mask may go to waste because somebody will put what is not right. Who is going to check and how do you do that? That the mask you have is the right specification, the right standard is what is required. Is there going to be a policeman stopping vehicles and say, remove you as let see?
It may not be possible.
So
but
you're
what,
just going
but,
to
but what we are going to do,
it is the right thing.
We are going to make sure that whoever is making these masks makes the mask according to the standards. And whoever buys, even because one mask we are going to give to everyone is not enough. People will have to buy more because this one I use, I go and wash. I get another one, like that every day. I have to change. I can't use the same mask every day. So you'll find that the majority of the people will want to have more than one mask. So they will go and buy. But government says, at least let us give each one person a mask. That even becomes the model for them to go and look for the same and buy. Because these people who are making masks are going to sell. They're going to make more and put out in the... You know,
the masks now are in vogue in downtown. You go everywhere, you find people are selling masks.
Yes.
And maybe those masks are not the kind of type of masks that perhaps can
protect us. But let me tell you,
and unless you're going to say any mask works.
No, of course, for now, before we give, you are better off, even if you put on any barrier, any cloth, something that you can create a certain barrier for now, you are better off than someone who just walks and coughs and talks in
okay, let me involve via Ugandans because my producer is telling me quite a number of them would want to contribute to this discussion or even ask a question. You're going to see the numbers on your screen. Please pick your phone and call us. And please be precise and concise so that we can take many more callers. I'm going to take the very first call online. Hello. 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 Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is from Kenya. My contribution is on distribution.
Okay, go right ahead. Distribution. What is it about the distribution?
Can the distributors provide the boxes to authorized taxis and buses so that at the time of picking up their passengers, they give them, they ensure that each one has a mask. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's another good initiative, in my view, that you give to the taxi at the stage, and there's a box of masks to ensure that whoever is in does not have a mask, you get one, and you get into the taxi, because that would help. Let me try to get another view from another Ugandan. I have a call online. Hello. Hello.
Good evening, Kamara.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm James. Hello.
Yes, you're on air, James.
Yes, I'm James. I want to ask Dr. Diana.
Yes.
I'm James calling from Kireka.
Okay.
No. I'd want to ask Dr. Diana, it makes sense after all the effort to prevent the spread of the virus, now they're unlocking and they're seeing whatever is happening in town. Does it make any sense?
Okay. Thank you very much, James in Kireka. I'm going to take other calls so that Dr. Diana can respond to you at once. I have another call online. Hello.
Okay.
Hello. I have a call online. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm called in Sibirwa.
In Sibirwa, where are you calling from?
From Yenga.
From Yenga, you're on air.
Yes, I want to know why. From Yenga.
Yes, go right ahead.
I want to know why they are trying to buy cars instead of testing kits. And why do doctors and nurses dance when they are sending away patients?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Severity in Muyenga. Your question is captured and Dr. Diana will respond to you. Let me take another caller. Hello?
Hello.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Geoffrey Namode.
Yes, Namode. Mr. Namode.
I'm thanking Dr. Diana for putting up such a good show.
Okay.
But one question is they locked us down with 0 cases. Now the cases are increasing and they're opening.
All right, that's a good one, Mr. Namode. Thank you for... All right, I think you just went off, but I think you gave a very serious point in my view, Mr. Namode. Thank you very much. Let me take maybe 2 more callers, and then... hello, we have a call online. Hello. I have a call online. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Mutunji Ori. I'm calling from Bunga.
Mutunji, you're on air.
Yeah, I wanted Dr. Twine to confirm to us because it seems there is a confusion in public. What is from the medical perspective? What is the exact purpose of curfew? Because some people are saying that.
Okay.
I'm thinking, isn't it better than not having it? What is the purpose? That's my question.
All right. Thank you very much. Probably the reason may not be medical, but otherwise. Let me take the last call online. I have a caller. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Patrick. My name is Edward.
Yes, your name, Edward. What's your other name?
And Mwebaze, I'm calling in from Makerere.
Okay, Mr. Mwebaze, you're on air.
Yes, my question is, they seem to have used the lockdown as a long-term method to manage the pandemic. Why can't they roll out the current treatment protocols to the lower health facility levels so that this disease can be managed by the lower health facility level, on a lower health facility level, so that this can help us be empowered to be able to contain the virus rather than taking long in a lockdown.
Okay, thank you very much with your question, and I understand there are quite a number of you who would want to ask questions to Dr. Diana and make a contribution, but it's just a matter of time. We can't go on and on. We respect you, we value you, and we thank you for having taken the initiative to try and get in touch. So let us give the opportunity to Dr. Diana to respond to your questions, and then she'll be making her concluding remarks.
I want to thank all of you who asked these questions. The first one, the suggestion of distributing masks at the taxi, it may not be possible because it means that someone can get actually more than one, because every time, if I come today, I get one, tomorrow I come, I get another one. It may not suit, everyone will not be moving with taxis, but also you will end up giving the same people, and it will not be enough. So that's why we need to take it through our government structures to make sure that it is well distributed. Someone is saying, what do we make of what is happening? Does it really make sense downtown when we have the crowding and then we are opening up? This could not go on forever. The lockdown could not go on forever. Because as you have heard, COVID is here with us. Is here with us, and it might stay, as you heard from WHO, it might be here for even over 1 year. So you cannot lock down people in continuity. It's not possible. But what we at the beginning, as you heard from the president, you know, president was using analogy of people in the war. You stop, you listen, then you are able to tell where the danger is. That's what happened. The lockdown helped us to first close all the entry points where the infection was coming from. We are able to identify our source of infection, and then we go for those source of infection. But right now, what we need really to do is we need to be personally, each individual must take responsibility in ensuring that they stay safe. They observe social distancing, they wash hands where they can, or they use even sanitizer. They make sure that they really become conscious of this infection. And that way they will be contributing to reducing on the spread of the disease. Someone is asking, why are we buying cars instead of test kits? We are buying also test kits. I mentioned we have so far bought test kits that are coming to $20 million, and we even more. We have already gotten another supplementary where we are going to buy up to 30 billion test kits. So we are buying. But the president guided us that when people give you a contribution, they don't want to put it in things that are consumable, and tomorrow they will not be there. Put this money in things that are tangible, that at least the partners will know, or those who supported us, that this something is tangible. But also the districts are in need of these cars to move and track all these people who are sick or who are contacts. They need actually.
How do we ensure?
They
how
need
do we
cars.
ensure that these vehicles that have been given by very kind Ugandans tomorrow do not become the fleet for the campaign strategy of the NRM party?
Oh, how?
Well, it is possible.
It's not possible.
Okay.
These cars, we have branded them. We have put UM. These are Ministry of Health cars.
All right.
They don't have private numbers. And we do not specifically, we are giving these cars with clear guidelines on how to use these cars. Anyone who misuses government car, I cannot take that. I cannot.
Okay.
You have had people I have thrown in jail for misusing the cars. Some even I have taken the cars away from them, those who misuse them. So it's not, that is not it's not Ministry of Health. We shall try to make sure that we use them properly. Someone is asking, why dance when you send people away, patients? My goodness, this is good. It's joyous. When you have been treating these cases and they are going, and patients are going home, when they are good, it is something nice to celebrate. Healing is really a sign of, and dancing is a sign of celebration. Zero case, we get it locked down. When the numbers are rising, we are opening up. Yes, it is true that time we locked down to prepare. But as I mentioned, we could not continue in lockdown. For sure, the welfare of the people, the businesses of people would be severely affected. That's why we open up. But when we open up, still we put guidelines to be followed. And we want really the population to follow those guidelines. And if they do that, and they help us to be our eyes wherever we are not, it will help us really. Curfew. Why put curfew? Curfew, that's not my answer. I don't think I'm suitable to answer that question. But what I know is that curfew will reduce on indiscipline in the night, because people will still go out in the bars quietly and drink. They'll go in those nightclubs. So by closing, it will help us to kind of minimize the night movements. Why don't we roll out care to the lower facilities? That cannot work. The countries that made that first mistake of treating every patient of COVID anywhere, they spread infection quickly. Our health workers, we cannot risk our health workers like that. That's why we put them in specific places, designated places, set apart, and it does not interfere with also other care. Because the moment people know that this facility is treating COVID or there is a COVID, some people might run away. But also our health workers would be put at risk. That's why we said we must keep these patients in the regional referral hospitals. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. The questions are many, and others were not able to pick them, but probably maybe two. There is a problem of stigma, and actually truck drivers have suffered the wrath of some of them, the people. I'm told in some areas, people or children were calling them and singing them, calling them Corona, 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 which is stigmatizing them. How do we avoid that, stigmatizing people, or even those who have recovered from COVID-19?
No, it will
was the president's message on truck drivers maybe misunderstood?
Yeah, maybe, but maybe with time they will understand that this happened because of our main source of infection coming in the country. It was not meant to victimize or stigmatize these people, and calling out our sisters who are enjoying the luxury of having fun with these drivers. It was in the spirit of cautioning them on the dangers that most of these people that come are potentially sick, and therefore they should keep away from them. But it has nothing to do with victimization, and that's why we have designated the places for them to rest if they are driving. We are going to set up some bit of infrastructure even at the border where they can sit, where they can, if you want to shower, they shower, something like that. So it's not really that we are victimizing. We care for them. That's why you saw the videos. People in the wards are dancing and having a good time. I don't think there's
so that video, actually, that video I saw that's going around with people in some green blue dresses of sorts. Those are actual patients, right?
Yes, they are actual patients.
They're having a ball.
Yes, of course. Some even were saying they are bored, they want TV, they want games, they want to do some activities on the ward. But we said, no, it's not possible. They stay, they can use their phones, they can, but because most of them really are not, they are not symptomatic.
I think that's pleasant to hear. Actually, when I saw the video, I was like, maybe is this some kind of drama? But when now they're authenticating it, I think it is somehow calms our hearts that maybe this fight, we can fight it and succeed. Lastly, the president says elections will be best. 2021 general election will be based on scientific guidance. Dr. Diana, what guidance are you giving?
That question is too big for me. First of all, it will depend on the situation in the country. We anticipate that by then we will have dealt with COVID, we'll have controlled internally as a country, we'll have all sectors will have put in place, including Electoral Commission and the ministries responsible and parties responsible, and will have put in place the processes of mass movements of people. So we think it will take place, but it will depend on how the situation will be at that time.
Or maybe just a scientific kind of campaign and only using mass media? Every candidate just goes on radio and TV and that's it?
Yes, it's possible. Because now,
we're likely to go
like now we have stopped these meetings, the workshops, blah, blah, blah. But we continue. If I want to call all DHOs in a meeting, I just sit on Zoom and we hold our whole day meeting. So we need to embrace also technology.
Zoom rallies.
Yes, Zoom rallies. Zoom rallies can happen. We can put screen somewhere and people just, watch.
Dr. Diana, what's going to be your concluding remark on the show tonight?
My conclusion tonight, I call upon Ugandans. We adhere to guidelines. COVID is real. It is real. If you're unfortunate and you get it, you can actually die.
If you can look in the camera one. will be better. You'll have eye contact with them. Okay.
You can actually die. It is better to prevent than cure. We hope that every Ugandan will take heed to what we are saying. Social distancing is one clear way of avoiding infection. You may be in a busy place, but please ensure that you avoid crowds. Please wash your hands. Use your mask. These masks are there. They are even in those places. They are selling them. You may not know that this is the right mask, but even just the way, whatever mask you have, it can still reduce the chance of infection. Wash your hands. Use sanitizers where you can. Please adhere to the guidelines, because that's the only sure way we know that we are going to curb this infection. But also on the side of the ministry, we are trying to make sure that we keep this infection at bay. That's why we are going to put around the border the test that all the border posts will be able to test, and will be able to get results in time and protect the population. But we want everyone's support. Thank you very much.
We thank you very much, Dr. Diana Twine, for your time. We appreciate your insights on the matter, and we thank you. We've been watching this show. We thank you for your great company, and please take the guidance that you've had from Dr. Diana Twine. As for me, I'm moving with my sanitizer.
Yes, yes.
Because sometimes you go to the market and you find the effort of the soap is there, the drum of water is there. Sometimes everything is looking so messy, but I can understand the intention. So you're like, should I touch this or not? So we had to make sure the sanitizer is part of the body. And so, like I've always said, corona anywhere can be corona everywhere. So we have to be extremely careful, keep social distancing. But should it be social distancing or physical distancing? I think the word should be physical distancing, and not social. Because socially we can be together, but what we need is physical distancing. Yes. All right, good night, and God bless Uganda.
Thank you.